All right.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Self-Publishing Podcast. Today's show should be fun. We did a show like this before. I think we called it nine movies that every writer should see or understand or something. And so we're doing sort of akin to that today, which is 9 movie moments Sean, why don't you explain it exactly? Because a moment is different from a movie.
Yeah, this is real different. And I'd like to clarify too, because last time we got a little bit of negative feedback on movies that every writer should see. Because what if I don't watch movies? I don't like it that you're saying that I'm somehow less of a writer. That's so not what I'm saying.
Are you serious? People said that?
Yeah, you didn't. Were you not a privy to these?
No, my God. What the fuck up?
Yeah. So like, I get where you're coming from, but I'm not saying you're less than. I'm saying that we learn from the world around us. I learned
it's just some crap we like that helped us. You don't have to like it.
And these movie moments, I love defining it down to a singular thing. And as we're outlining stories right now, I'm really trying hard to think scene per scene, what would be the moment that you would tell a friend about in that scene? You know, what's the thing in that? And we talked about some of our favorite movies, and I loved that show. That was one of my favorite that we've done. And I want to do one that's, our favorite scenes, but a moment is different from a scene. A scene is like a whole exchange of ideas. It's where information is delivered. It's where two characters really go at it. It's a climax. It could be anything. But a moment is just one moment. It's the moment where someone says a line or something happens, or it's a lightning strike. And so I thought we can all pick 3 of those, and that'd be a really fun conversation. One more clarification. They're not just moments, they're earned moments, so that when you get the moment, you really feel it. Like, oh, I've been waiting for that. It's almost like an exhale, a narrative exhale.
This is actually really hard for me because I've seen a lot of movies and I love movies, and movies will come up in discussion and I'll talk about great moments. I actually did it in this past week with my kids. But when it's like pick 3 great movie moments, I'm like, oh, it's just overload. Like
it's analysis paralysis.
Well, I went and I looked at, because I have a handful of DVDs still, and I went down and I looked at those, and I was like,
well, you can't pick a moment from a porn DVD.
Right. Well, I used the different shelf.
Oh, okay.
And then is
that the one all the way at the top behind a red curtain?
Right. But then I went to Googled great movies or best movies, because I just wanted ideas. Like I wanted kind of something to jar me, and it took me a long time, and I know that I'm forgetting lots of really great moments.
Oh, but I think that's the great thing about conversations like this. I think you'll remember. I had a really hard time coming up with 3, because in the show notes, we're supposed to come up with examples. What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And so I think that once we start talking, we'll think of a lot, and it'd be fun to see what smart artists think in the Facebook group. What are your favorite movie moments?
So you had the exact opposite problem.
Yeah.
And you thought of 2 minutes.
Yeah, this is because I love moments. I love moments. I actually was thinking it'd be kind of cool to start collecting them, make a list, because those moments, especially if they're earned moments, there's really a lot to be learned from them.
I'm prompted. I know them. That's the thing, though. I can't off of nothing come up with them.
Well, because a lot of them, I think you think of as scenes. So here's one. Neither of you have Jerry Maguire, right, on yours?
God, no.
What is wrong with Jerry Maguire? It is an excellent script. Why are you being a dick? All right, so the moment when he says, "You complete me," or no, "You had me at hello," actually, or "Show me the money." That movie's actually rich with moments. It's got a lot of moments, but its moments are also really good where it could be the scene. So "You had me at hello" is a great moment, but it's the "You complete me" scene, right? It's that whole scene. Show me the money.
I'm now thinking of my things, and I'm like, okay, I can narrow that. That is a moment, right? Because there's some that could be argued either way, and you're like, no, there's one defining thing. I know the moment where the Devil's Advocate went wrong.
I was actually going to use that as one of the examples, just because I know how much you hate the way that movie turned.
I was going to make a banjo scene from Deliverance joke, but then I thought, no, that'd be too crass. But Beth Farrar did, so thank you.
Good for you, Beth.
You got to narrow it down. What's the one moment? It's got to be the squeal like a pig, right?
Didn't he say he has a pretty mouth?
Okay.
That's a good
I
line.
don't know. I hear that so often where I live. I'm not sure if it's like just like recent memory or movie memory.
Right.
Fiction and reality are blending.
Oh, that's a good one. Kate, Han Solo saying "I know" in Empire. Yeah, that one's super good. Oh, the moment in Raiders where Han, or not Han, damn it, Indiana Jones is going against that big dude with the sword, and he just pulls out his gun and shoots him. Like, that's a great movie moment. So that's the kind of stuff.
Those aren't as earned though. Those aren't, because
What about all these snakes on these motherfucking plane? Is that a moment?
Well, okay. No, because that's so engineered. But actually, the Indiana Jones one is an earned moment if you understand how it came about. So that was not in the script at all. That was basically a confluence of a bunch of things. Like, they were way over shooting schedule. It was at the end of the weekend, and Spielberg wanted to go home. There was something going on with the fight coordinator, all kinds of different things. And they actually had a fight sequence that Harrison Ford was supposed to, go into. And then he just kind of did that, and it became the scene. And so that's earned, because as we found in writing our book, sometimes we have to adapt with what our timelines or, reality is telling us. And so our stories find these moments in them kind of by accident.
All right, well, let's move into something cool.
All right, my something cool is something that's happening this weekend, and I think into next week, E3.
So that's
I love E3.
Austin's something cool.
Yeah, I love E3.
I'm so looking forward to it. I'm very much hoping that Red Dead Redemption 2 will have some sort of trailer or something a little bit more than what we've been given already. It was supposed to come out this year, but then Rockstar fucking delayed it, which very much pisses me off, because
but they delay shit to make it awesome, to be fair. Don't they?
I don't care. I want the game. I wanted the game 5 years
Said every single person who read White Space.
Yeah, I wanted the game 5 years ago. That's like the first Red Dead Redemption is one of my favorite games.
A lot of people love that first White Space. I think it's really awesome.
Good stuff takes time. Anyway,
right.
So there, I'm also looking to see what Bethesda will do, if they will be releasing anything big, anything good. So yeah.
I used to be really into E3, and the last E3 I went to was Cindy was super sick, and we had to leave a little early, and it's because she was pregnant with Haley. So that's how long it's been since I've been to an E3.
Well, one of the interesting things, just to get a little inside video games, because I know that's what everybody's tuned in for. But I think it's interesting from a branding perspective. A few years ago, when they announced the PS4 and the Xbox One, Xbox One made a huge mistake in like going after like media over games. They kind of alienated gamers. They added the Kinect. It was $100 more than the PS4. And PS4 basically, and there were some other things that they did that pissed everybody off. And PS4 basically said, well, here's an opportunity for us to win. So since then, PS4 has been kicking ass, outselling Microsoft by a lot. However, recently, like Microsoft has been doing a lot of good things, a lot of right things, and they have like backwards compatibility for a lot of Xbox 360 games. And that's gaining some traction.
Yeah, I hate that the PS4 is not backwards compatible. It makes me mad.
Interestingly, somebody from Sony is like made a snipe at Xbox saying, I'm not sure if it. I don't remember the exact details, but basically they were pointing out some article that ran, I think, in Ars Technica, talking about how there was some data that showed that nobody was even playing the old games on Xbox 360, and Sony's like, well, why even bother? PlayStation, or not PS3, PS4. PlayStation's answer, though, to that isn't offering you backwards compatibility. It's offering you like a rental thing where you can like rent old games, and it's completely stupid. It's streaming. It's awful. So I'm curious to see if Xbox can sort of regain some footing, because I think they're doing a lot of things right that Sony is not doing right now. And I wonder if it's too late for Microsoft to save themselves, because the numbers are on PS4's side. But I'm curious to see if they can gain back some of the audience, because I think they're doing a lot of good things, and they ought to be able to.
And what does the PS4 have left? 1 year, 2 years? When is PS5 going to be announced?
Just so you guys know, I stopped paying attention just a while ago. Raise your hand when you want my attention again.
All right, Johnny, something cool.
My something cool is I'm giving a qualified something cool. It was really enthusiastic, but I just have a small qualifier. I thought something cool is 80% of Wonder Woman. I went to see it the other day, and I thought it was amazing. And there was a scene that it lost me at one point, but not enough. It wasn't like The Devil's Advocate. It wasn't like where The Devil's Advocate, that climax ruins the whole movie for me. I actually loved it, and then it kind of went a little in one direction. But I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but it had a really great feel to it. She's just a really, really great character, I thought, in the way that they interpreted her. And I loved it's a World War I setting. And again, I don't want to say too much, but it was awesome. So something cool. So recommended. Thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm real curious about what scene that is now. Was it something that was? Well, no, I haven't, but I want to, but I'm curious because
it's not really a scene; it's a direction that it took. But I don't want to say anything for anybody.
It became a musical.
Is it just because? Well, I know how you feel about superhero lore. So is it something that was?
I'm not. You really shouldn't pick at this, because then there's no way I can describe without spoilers. I'll describe it to you more later, but I don't want.
Okay. All right. Cool. So my something cool is we have a friend, a literary agent, Whitney Davis, and we did a little exclusive thing for our Stone Table this week, and just talked about kind of lateral expansion and how to adapt your stuff to script, and how to kind of not just that, but how to think about what you're doing going forward. And that's kind of where we are right now, mapping out a lot of projects that we'll have, pilot, television, script components, and just thinking about it from the inception stage. It was just really fun to talk that out. And it was one of the highlights of my week by far. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, it was really cool because we've learned some stuff just from, adapting our own stuff. And one of the points that Sean made that I was going to make was like, maybe you should do this anyway. Like, even if you don't want to write a script, do it for storytelling. But she talked a lot about how to get stuff sold and all this. And it was great for the Stone Table. So, all right. So we ready to move in?
Yes.
No, I want to talk about video games for another 20 minutes.
Well, we could do worst show ever.
Can you talk about comic books instead?
No, I think what we should do for worst show ever is games that piss you off, because it's not going to be fun to hear you talk about things you're excited about. That's not the right venue for that.
Games that piss you off isn't a category that most people have, much like favorite ice. All right, so moving in, do you just kind of want to do we each give one and like?
Yeah. I think we should. Do you want me to start to just kind of set the stage?
Sure.
All right, so I'll do these in chronological order, and this was the third one I came up with, but it's the oldest, and I think it's a good place to start. So,
sorry. Before you begin, it should go without saying that some of these are going to be spoilery. But we aren't choosing like brand new movies. But if you don't know how X movie like ends or what, you're taking a chance, just so you know.
Well, we'll just say if it's an ending spoiler. One of mine is, the rest aren't.
Well, okay, so this is a line from a movie that not everybody knows, but anybody who loves film knows this line. And this isn't one of my favorite movies at all, but I just love this moment for its place in film history. And it's
Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, where he talks to his butt.
That is the best.
It is really good.
I never ever got that movie.
With that scene,
I thought that movie was bullshit. Yeah.
You never saw that?
No, I've seen it.
Oh, okay. I like the UPS scene where he's like just shaking his shit up and throwing like that. That was the funniest part to me.
You want to go back to talking about E3? Or?
Was it as fun as in Angry Birds, where there's the 1 minute piss?
Oh, that's one of the days.
No, that's just cinema magic. You can't recapture that.
All right. Well, speaking of cinema magic,
meeting him for that. Okay, hold on, guys. I got it. Pissing
I wonder if they had a debate over how long the pissing should take place.
I am positive they did.
A full minute. You're crazy, man.
I hear they like minute pisses in Florida. All right, anyway. So yeah. So this is gonna spoil a movie all the way back from 1939. So,
no, I haven't seen it yet.
I actually guarantee you haven't seen it.
Like
you
Metropolis?
Haven't seen Godfather. No, Gone with the Wind.
I've seen that. I hated it.
I've seen it about 100,000 times. It was my mom's favorite movie. So.
Oh, I've actually only seen it twice. But
so tedious.
But the line, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn, right? So that line, that's the first cursing in film history, which
the original line was actually "get fucked."
Was it? Clark Gable couldn't pull it off without laughing, though, right?
I think I could be totally wrong on this, but I actually think there was an original line that was "I don't care." I could be totally wrong about that, but I seem to remember it. I know it was a really landmark moment in film.
Well, that wouldn't even surprise me because it wouldn't necessarily make the script, right? Because how could the script get produced if there had never been? It's like in Psycho. Do you know Psycho is the first time there's ever been a toilet on screen?
Oh, nope. Yeah, I knew that.
That's pretty funny. I actually was talking about Psycho with my kids this week as well. Not the movie. No. So it's these things just, happen by accident a little bit there. And so I think there is something really interesting that language changed in film there. There's actually a YouTube video that is worth Googling because it's just gorgeous. And Google paintball Gone with the Wind, and you'll see the video. Have you seen this, you guys?
No.
All right, it's kind of amazing.
Dave's insulted that you asked.
So they have this family, and they're all in white, and they're sitting on a white couch in a white room.
I did see that.
Okay, yeah. There's all this, everything's white furniture, and then they all sit down with popcorn, and they're sitting down to watch Gone with the Wind. And he delivers the line, and someone with a paintball, there's like this whole army of people all in black with paintball guns storm the set, and they all have words on their on their Kevlar that say fuck or bullshit or whatever, but it's with asterisks, so what the word is, but you can't see it. And then they all have paintball guns, and they just shoot, boom, 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 and it goes into slow motion. And it says, "Damn" was the first word, but then here's all the other words, and over there's a pie chart, a bar graph that shows over the years all the swearing and how it's peaked, and then it peaked with Wolf of Wall Street, which has I think 500 or 5,420, something just obnoxious.
I thought it peaked with our show.
That always distracts me. I'm a fan of profanity, but at a certain point, you're like, okay, that's just
it's just so much, right? But it's it was showing that how now these people using their paintballs had that same ammunition, because the first one was just one shot from Gone with the Wind, and now they have all the ammunition from Wolf of Wall Street, and it's battering the family to shit, and paint is going everywhere, and it's blowing up the vase of white flowers, and it's color because all the paint is color, and it's all in the white room. It's a beautiful video, but it shows you how much language has changed over the years, and that was a really earned movie moment. I don't know what the moment is in the book. I would be curious to see.
I don't know the book.
I don't know. I don't know if that's an earned story moment or an earned movie moment. But in the movie, it's really earned because she's just such a pain in the ass. She's such a pain in the ass for the whole movie. And by the time he says that, you're so done with her that frankly, I don't give a damn.
I heard she couldn't load a dishwasher either,
or find a parking space. I mean, the woman was impossible, but. I don't know. I think that's a really good example because you're pushing, and then you let the reader or the viewer in this case surrender with and walk away with dignity. Look, I'm not going to do this, and no price is worth it. I'm out of here.
Then he killed her and drove off in a white Bronco.
Bringing it to OJ. No, that was vintage.
All right, my movie moment. It's going to be the one that that Johnny actually couldn't figure out a moment for, so I had to take the challenge. Inception. And to me, the moment that I think we can learn from in that movie is near the beginning when Leo's character meets Ellen Page's character. I don't remember, Arenade or whatever the hell it is. And he's explaining the rules of the dream world. I mean, this is a very heady, thoughtful sort of movie. And I think Christopher Nolan took like 8 years to write this thing. And part of that probably was to like make a movie that like fulfilled this vision he had, but at the same time was accessible to everyday people. Like a lot of like intelligent movies.
Yeah, he works really hard to walk that line, and he's doing it better than anybody right now.
Yeah, like if you look at Upstream Color or Primer or some of those movies, like they're kind of divided. Like either the audience really gets it or they're just baffled. And I think it's hard.
Or both. I got it and was baffled.
In those movies, you get away with it because they're very low budget. This was a $160 million movie, so they needed everyday.
They put the dollars before the millions in Florida.
They needed everybody to get this fucking movie. So I think one of the things that really helped was the scene where he is explaining, and they're in that they're at the outside cafe or whatever, and he's like explaining the rules to her, and she doesn't realize it yet, but all of a sudden, they show that they're actually in a dream at that moment, and then stuff starts exploding. And then the next time you see them, like he's like walking her through the world, and like you get this just beautiful shots of like the city just folding in on itself and teaching
everything turns MC Escher all of a sudden.
Yeah, teaching her how to architect the dream. And I just, that movie is like, because I was watching parts of it again just so I can get this remember right for this episode. It's such a perfect movie. It really is like my favorite movie ever, I think.
Yeah, I love that movie.
It just did everything so well, and the music also. Oh, it's fucking beautiful.
Yeah, except that it ruined summer film scores for like the next 10 years because they're all boom.
No, not the score. It's just the commercials. But I think something we can learn from that, though, is, when you're setting up a complicated story or a story that has a big concept that is difficult to parse, the way they did it in this, like he was actually drawing diagrams on a piece of paper, a napkin or whatever, and then they visually showed like the elements of what was taking place and how the dream within the dream and all every time they needed to explain something, they did it in a way that wasn't. It was done very smart. It was
like a Christopher Nolan version of a whiteboard video.
Yeah, it wasn't exposition heavy. It was showing stuff in like the simplest terms possible, but also very visually. And I know
like that infinite staircase, right, where it shows the bottom and then coming back up the top, and it just immediately broadcasts to the viewer, "Hey, this is infinity that you're looking at.
Right,
everything's possible."
I know visually is one of those things that it works different in movies and books, obviously. But I think balancing like dialogue and actual like people going through the motions in a way, replicating this sort of scene in a book, just finding the different sort of language you might use to do it, I think can really help make the book that much more accessible to a wider audience. And that's my first movie anyway.
Yeah, that's a really good example. I love that.
Mine is more, and this is spoilery, obviously. This is what it's not obvious yet, but it will be. Is from Memento, and I actually
also one of my favorites,
right?
And also Christopher Nolan.
Yeah. Then the Nolans are.
We should just do 9 movies by Christopher Nolan.
I would be down with that, actually.
Neither of my others are Nolan movies. It's the moment, again, spoiler if you haven't seen it and you don't want it spoiled. When you realize that it's all, I actually don't know what the actual specific moment is because, again, I screwed this up a little bit, where you realize that this has all been a game that he's playing with himself because, here's the big spoiler, his wife survived the attack where he's been thinking all along that that guy killed her, but then he accidentally killed her basically. And so he can't live with that. So he basically decides that he's going to blame Joey Pantoliano's character,
Joey Pants.
Joey Pants, for the murder because he has this memory issue, and so he's just John G killed my wife, and then he, invents the story that then unfolds backward if you were to watch the movie again. And that was just such a turnaround of like, oh, so it's really his fault, but he can conveniently just decide to forget it.
Yeah, if you have not seen Memento, you absolutely need to.
And now you know what happens, so you're good.
I can't remember if Memento, was that in black and white also, or no?
No, that's The Following. You're thinking of The Following.
Parts of it are. The forward marching pieces are in black
no,
and white.
just the Sammy Jenkins stuff is in black and white.
No.
I actually saw that in the movies.
Yeah.
No, there's two storylines. There's one where the scenes unfold backward.
Right. Those are in color.
Where they unfold forward. And the forward ones occur after the in color ones, but they're all in black and white.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's a real puzzle of a movie. It's really amazing. I love it.
Yeah, it's still like, I was pretty much, when I heard that the guy who was making Memento was rebooting Batman, I was so happy. And this was after finding out that Darren Aronofsky had started a Batman project that never got off the ground, working with Frank Miller. Like, that would have been really, really, really awesome, but it never happened. And I was sad.
Austin's all annoyed because we watched Batman Begins, but I won't let him watch The Dark Knight yet. I'm like, oh, dude, it's just way too fucking dark. Like,
how old does he have to be?
I don't know. I may have to watch it again and calibrate, but there's just some of that shit is just so dark. Especially stuff at the end with
the fisting mitten.
Yes, that.
Always with the fisting mitten. It's either Hitler or the fisting mitten.
That's your guys' thing, not mine.
Really?
Hitler with a fisting mitten? No.
Yes.
All right. So my next one, I'm going to go with, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. And this is the moment that makes this, that takes this movie from good to just great for me.
Serbian film?
Yes. It's in. I've actually never seen Serbian film, nor will I.
What?
Ever.
How can anyone ever have seen that? It's on every critic's top 10 list. Siskel and Ebert gave it 2 thumbs up. Your ass.
Yeah, not ever gonna see it. But the Kill Bill.
Geely. Oh, no.
No. So I love Kill Bill. I love Kill Bill Volume 1 and I love Kill Bill Volume 2. And in fact, I just rewatched these a couple of weekends ago because Haley has been wanting to see them forever and Ethan was at a friend's house, so we could. And this moment gets me the same every single time. It's in 2, and this is a spoiler. If you, in the end of Kill Bill Volume 1, you find out, and I really do think of them as one movie. They were made together, they were shot together, they were written together as one thing. So I know it's Volume 1 and Volume 2, but I really think of it as Kill Bill. And I always watch them back to back. So it's one experience. And at the end of Kill Bill Volume 1, you find out that the bride who was murdered when she was like fully pregnant on her wedding day, or attempted murder. She actually survived. She's in a coma for 5 years. And you find out at the end of the first movie that her daughter is still alive. It's the last line spoken in the first movie. Does she know her daughter's still alive? And then the music comes in. And so by the time the next one starts, everything's kind of different. She's still on revenge, all of that. But then there's a moment when she bursts into Bill's villa and you hear this bang, bang, mommy, you're dead. And, there's her little daughter, BB, is sitting there holding, a fake gun and pretending to beat, or pretending to shoot her mother. And then Bill kneels down and has this really paternal, just wonderful way with this little girl. And every fucking thing that you've seen has just changed. The tone, you're expecting her to just bust in there and there to be this final, like, big battle between the big bad and her that's been going on for 3.5 hours now. And instead, you sit down for 45 minutes of kind of ground shaking dialogue and emotions as she lays down with her daughter.
They get married and live happily ever after.
for the first time, and there's confessions there, and it's just such an earned moment. And it's kind of, because Kill Bill could easily be so much less than it is. but because it has a lot of confidence in its ideas and in its characters, it really lives and breathes in its own world. It is to my mind an absolute masterpiece. And that moment is so earned because she just has to drop everything. This is her enemy. That she has cut through the crazy 88 samurai. She cut through all of them and, got all the way to the end of the game, game. This is a video game. Big boss after big boss after big boss. She's at the big boss, and he reverses everything on you. And you are watching her become a mother. And then the flashbacks that you get to see after that, where you realize that the moment everything changed, where she realized, I can't be an assassin because I'm going to be a mother. It's just a magical movie moment. And I think about it a lot when I'm constructing story and thinking, how do you really earn this moment? How do you really feel? How can you really flip it? In fact, the first thing Johnny and I wrote together, with Unicorn Western, there's a very specific moment in the books where that's the reference point. Okay, here's the Kill Bill 2, and this is the moment. So I love that moment.
Awesome. Dave?
My next one is actually a French movie called High Tension. And I didn't realize it. I actually had to buy the movie to rewatch it so we could talk about it. But when I was looking into it, I'd seen some criticism that it was a ripoff of a Dean Koontz book, and I did not know that. I hadn't read that Dean Koontz book. So it kind of lessens. But anyway, I'm going to spoil the end of the movie.
Dean Koontz or Dean fucking Koontz?
Both. They are one and the same. Don't ever forget that. So I'm going to ruin the end of the movie. So if you haven't seen High Tension, it came out 15, 20 years ago. Sorry. But anyway, it's a French movie. It starts off like pretty much every serial killer movie. This girl and her friend, her female friend, are on their way to the friend's parents' house, like in France at a villa or something, during summer, and they're gonna sleep over there and then do stuff. And it starts off like a very sort of standard setup for a movie like that. And all of a sudden, this guy, this horrible, wretched killer, serial killer, wearing like a workman's uniform and driving like this truck from like 80 years ago, just shows up at their house and murders everybody except the lead, the female, and her friend. He actually takes the friend, throws her in his truck, and drives away. And the girl sneaks on board. So she basically, the whole movie is sort of like cat and mouse between her and the killer, and she's trying to save her friend from the killer, and it goes on, and it's a gory fucking movie. It's really gory, and I don't like gory movies. I don't like the whole torture porn genre, but I think I like this well enough because the characterization was there. By the way, if you stream this, the dubbing is fucking awful. If you can get the DVD without the dubbing, do that. I hate movies that just dub so awful. The voices do not match the action at all.
Dubbing in general, I hate. I'd rather read subtitles.
I mean, yeah,
100% of the time.
If you can find good actors to pull it off, that have the same sort of just the same gravitas as the lead actors, then I might not mind. But this just sounds like fucking, I don't know. Anyway, so the whole movie's like this whole cat and mouse thing, and this guy is just he's brutal. I mean, he's like Jason ×3, and he's just killing people at random. And then there's a scene in a gas station where she's about to try to rescue her friend, and then this guy comes to the gas station and kills the guy at the gas station. Just murder. And at the very end of the movie, she gets the better of the guy. She murders him, and then she goes to unlock the door and save her friend from the back of the truck. And her friend's freaking out. And when she unties her and stuff, the friend's like, get away from me. Her friend is scared of her. And then they flip. Actually, they flip right before this scene, but they flip to the police arriving at the gas station. They're looking at the security camera video, and you see that the person that did the murdering was this girl, the victim of the entire movie. She actually snapped. She went nuts, and she's basically seeing herself as this guy. And because the concept is kind of stupid, it doesn't really ring true. She's so in love with her friend that she's going to kill everybody just so they can be together. It's a bit extreme, and it doesn't pay off. I mean, it did at the time when I watched it. I enjoyed it, but further
I
reflection,
love how Dave's apologizing for his movie moment.
but I think they did that. They did the reveal very well, and they just flipped everything at this very moment. And then all of a sudden, like, she's not trying to rescue her friend; she wants to have her friend. She wants to hold her, basically. And the friend is scared shitless, and a friend stabs her. And then there's like a sequence where the friend's trying to escape, and suddenly you're rooting for the other person. And it's just a whole flip in the third act, or even towards the end of the third act, which I think they did really well. And I don't know if that whole thing is a ripoff of Dean Koontz or not, but I enjoyed it. And I thought I thought it's something you can learn from, like just setting up and using the standard cliches of like a serial killer sort of movie, and just using all of those things, and then at the very end flipping it and making it into something completely, different. I like that.
Yeah, I love shocking reader expectations.
Okay, so don't elaborate, but Dave, is your third movie Old Boy?
No, it's actually not. I was going to do that.
When you were describing that movie, I was thinking, oh, there's a moment in Old Boy that Dave might decide to do. But
yeah, I was Old Boy for movies when we did our movie.
Yeah,
list.
I think we did do that before, so I wasn't going to do it again.
Give the moment that's the moment.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Dave owns that moment. He should own that moment.
Well, that is a better movie. If you want to see a movie that sets everything up for one pivotal moment that makes a movie, go watch Old Boy, the original, not the remake.
Yeah.
So does the remake not have the moment?
It has a moment, but it's just not as good. I don't know if it's not as good if you hadn't seen the original, but like once you see one, you can't like, oh, this is just a copy.
You're always going to be comparing it. Yeah, I didn't see the newer one. I listened to the sage here who said watch the original, and so I watched the original.
Yeah.
All right, my next moment is from The Godfather, and mine are all at the end. I mean, so this is a spoiler for The Godfather, just in case.
I haven't seen the end of Godfather.
He actually hasn't seen the end of Godfather.
Should I walk away for a minute?
If you want, but I mean, come on, Dave. So just so you know, Al Pacino turns out to run the mafia in that movie. Just so you know,
what?
Stay a nice, quiet soldier boy forever.
Oh, so this isn't the Godfather saga. This is actually Godfather 1 first.
Well, I mean, they have the same things. They're just in different places. But my point is, yes, it's Godfather 1 where it's the end where, so the setup is obviously, I mean, if you haven't seen The Godfather, like he's Michael Corleone played by Al Pacino is just like, I'm not like my father. This is him explaining, I'm not going to be like him. He's this big mafia don. I'm not that guy. And then of course the whole movie is him just going deeper and deeper. And once the moment is the who plays his wife? Why can't I remember it?
Diane Keaton.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And so she, keeps trying to believe that he's not becoming this guy. And it's the moment where he's in his office and he says, "Don't ask me about my business." And then the door just closes. And it's that moment where
that same thing.
Well, he says one time. He says she says, "I just need to know." And he says, "One time. You're allowed to ask me this one time. But then from now on, never ask me about my business." And then she does. She asks him the one question, and then he just fucking looks in her eye and lies, like straight lies to her. And then basically she leaves, and the camera pulls back, and you see somebody else like kissing his ring and the door closing, and you're like, damn.
So do you want to know the best part? I knew it was The Godfather. I gave you the wrong moment.
What's the right moment?
The right moment is the scene where he settles all the family business, and it's cross-cut with the baptism.
Oh, yeah.
It's not really a moment. It's a sequence.
That's it. That is a sequence, but it's triggered by a moment.
The head of the 5 families. There's some other business, and it's just the sequence of assassinations while he's standing. Is it a christening or a baptism? I don't remember, but it's he's in the church and taking blessings and stuff. Meanwhile, his people.
It's when he becomes the Godfather. He's becoming the Godfather to Carlo and his sister's baby, but he's settling all family business. And that's what he says right before that scene. By the end of today, all family business will be settled. And you're like, damn.
But what would that be? The parallel story, cuts of him being pious and being the Godfather in the church and taking the holy water and stuff, and these brutal scenes. He's not just having people killed. These are like the heads of the 5 families. Like he's not just becoming a mafia guy. He's taking over the whole area, and it's just a wonderful sequence.
It's one of the best sequences in film history. Like it's I don't know. I feel sorry for Dave that he hasn't seen it.
He really literally laughed. He really didn't want to.
He's like, I'm out of this Godfather
I love
conversation.
That Dave has this, because there's been a bunch of things where you're like, do you care if I spoil it? And I'm like, well, I'd like to see it, but I'm never going to get to it. Dave doesn't have that realism filter. Like he has probably thousands and thousands of hours of movies that he's never going to watch, but he'll never know anything about either.
TV shows too. He doesn't want TV shows.
I love his optimism, though. His optimism is that he's going to get to The Godfather after 40-some years.
I think you're the first person who's ever said that about Dave.
Well, he's optimistic about there was something else we saw that he was optimistic about in a weird way too. I can't remember what it was. Or I guess it's that he always thinks he's going to complete the book on time.
Oh yeah, but that's kind of just adorable. All right, so should I wait for my third movie moment for Dave to return? Movie moment. I need water. I think.
I don't know. I can't see the toilet in this production, much like in.
Oh, here he is. All right, so my third movie moment is from Lost in Translation, which is a really small movie, but it's one of my favorite little tiny movies. It's made by Sofia Coppola, who is daughter of
Godfather 3.
Of Francis Ford Coppola, who made The Godfathers. And many think she is the reason that Godfather 3 was so terrible. She was in Godfather 3. I love her as a filmmaker. Her first movie was Virgin Suicides, which is really, really good. I don't know, Lost in Translation is just kind of a special little movie. It has Scarlett Johansson and Bill Murray, and they're both travelers in Japan. And Scarlett Johansson, her husband, is a photographer. And at the time that she wrote, I don't know how autobiographical this is. I have no window into Sofia Coppola's life at all. So
on her window, like peeking in.
No. But she used to be married to Spike Jonze, who is also one of my favorite directors. He made Being John Malkovich, an adaptation. He's worked with Charlie Kaufman, who I think is a genius. He made Her, which I thought was super, super good. And he started by making awesome videos, like the Blue video with Weezer and the Dogs, and Black Hole Sun for Soundgarden.
And the Christopher Walken dancing video.
And the Christopher Walken dancing video. And Sabotage for the Beastie Boys. Like, the dude is awesome. And so she was married to him at a time, and I feel like the photographer guy is a little bit supposed to be that guy. And she's in she's in Japan, and she's just feeling really lonely. Like, he's out working the whole time. He's taking all these pictures everywhere, and she's just kind of alone in the hotel room. Bill Murray is a guy, I think his character's name is Bob Harris, and he's like an action star, which is kind of hard for me to believe, but whatever. But he's like I get the feeling he's like a Harrison Ford type action star, and he's sold himself out. He's no longer doing anything for.
He's doing Garfield voiceovers in movies. Oh wait, no, that's real Bill Murray. That's
real Bill Murray. Yeah, he's in Japan to shill Suntory whiskey instead of doing a play off Broadway or somewhere. And so he's just kind of hating himself, and he's definitely an outsider, and he and Scarlett Johansson make eyes at each other a couple times, and then they just kind of fall into conversation, and you kind of get there. He hits on her once very subtly at the very beginning of the relationship. I mean, their first exchange, but she rebuffs him immediately, and that's not really what it's about. It really is about two souls kind of connecting and trying to hang on to each other during what is an otherwise very lonely experience. And so you just kind of get their vibe. You get to be with them throughout the movie for a little bit. But then the moment that's really special is at the very end, and they're saying goodbye to each other, and they just go, and then they hug each other, and there's a whisper exchange between them, and you don't get to hear what's said. And it's such a beautifully preserved private moment between these two characters when they're saying goodbye, and you can only guess at what they're saying, but it's just such a crystal beautiful moment. And
that pissed me off.
Did it really?
Yeah, I want to know what it said.
But that's the whole thing. Like, you're supposed to be able to, they deserve their privacy in that moment. And I think that it's earned. It's having the faith in the reader.
Perry said Hail Hydra.
I think that you, in a situation like that, you want to be able to give your viewer or your reader, you want to have faith that they can fill in the blanks, that not everything needs to be said out loud. And that moment was so anti-Hollywood because most scripts would not have the courage to leave that unsaid and to have it so that you can draw your own story. You can draw your own conclusion. I think that takes a bold writer. It takes a stronger ending. A little bit, but it definitely
I got an idea, man. We're going to do an ending that's not really an ending. It's going to piss everyone off.
No, with their ironic beards and
it was totally an ending, and I didn't feel like there was any lack of resolution because I didn't need to know what they said. That's the whole point. I knew they were saying goodbye, and they were saying goodbye in their way.
They're probably saying, okay, let's bang later.
Maybe.
Like, totally destroying the entire mood of the movie. Like, okay, I decided, yeah, I want to do you. Let's go.
Maybe Dave. Maybe that's the end of Lost in Translation. So anyway, I think that's a really wonderful moment that I know it's coming, and I've seen the movie several times, and every time I look forward to that moment. Fuck you, Dave.
I was thinking of other things I could have said that would be funny.
I'm sure you were. Make a list.
Hitler was a good painter.
Wow.
Look at that notebook there. Look at that.
Okay, going from Hitler, we're going to go into my last movie here, which is Up, the beginning of Up.
That's a scene, bitch.
What?
That's a scene or a sequence.
A moment.
That's not a moment, because you're going to talk about the first 10 minutes, right? Which are all amazing.
Is that not a moment?
No, it's a scene. It's the whole montage.
Okay. When you were giving examples of shows that we could talk about, you said the beginning of Up.
Yeah, I did not.
I was a little off.
Yeah, you did.
When did I say the beginning of Up? I would have had to
say.
Do I
need to go back and find it and screenshot it, you bastard?
Yes, I would like you to do that. Because that's not a moment. That's a sequence.
Okay, well, I'm gonna fucking make this work. All right.
All right, please do.
Okay, so the beginning of Up, if you haven't seen it yet, it's the most beautiful 10 minutes or whatever of any cartoon ever.
Or any movie ever, pretty much.
By the way, it's not in the list that Sean gave. I just looked. So
it is.
It's not.
But it's not.
Scarlett Johansson and Bill Murray in Lost in Translation. Darth telling Luke that he's his father. The final reveal in The Sixth Sense. The moment when you see the girl in red in Schindler's List. When Beatrix opens the door to Bill's house.
He deleted it.
I did not delete it.
Okay, well, I'm on an alternate world. Maybe I mentioned it and nobody objected, so whatever.
Well,
I'm making it work.
Typical.
I'm making it work, so fuck you. So the beginning of Up is it starts off with these two kids that meet, and you follow their entire love story, and then.
Wow, you follow the whole love story in a moment? That's amazing.
Fuck yeah. I'm going to get to the moment, or I'm going to make this a moment, and I'm going to shove that moment up your ass.
Ooh, tickle me.
I'm going to light a firework.
Sexy.
So you basically have this entire, the relationship plays out, and then at the very end of this 10-minute scene, they're growing old together, and then the very end of this thing, the wife dies, and it leaves this man alone and widowed, and the movie from there it goes into he's now a cranky old man, and he meets this little kid, and they go on a stupid cartoon adventure together. But
Dave, why don't you just do the moment in Seven, which I'm surprised that somebody did.
Or the moment in Old Boy. Both of those are so perfect for you.
Well, I was going to talk about how you can use this. I think what this did well, what the beginning of Up did very well is used an economy of time. There was no dialogue at all. It basically showed you how this man became who he is, and it wasn't just the moments that they highlighted. I think you can use when you're writing fiction. When you're trying to tell a backstory, and that's what this was. It was a backstory. When you're trying to tell a backstory, you can do it one of two ways. You can do a flashback, or you can have a scene like of dialogue. But I think choosing the right moments is what you want to do in specific moments that basically shaped you, scarred you, made you, or whatever. I think to just focus on those exact moments. And
I love it. Dave's saying it's all about the moment.
It was actually just
that's actually
too.
genius.
It is about the moments in a side.
I have it all written down. So
okay, Dave wins this shit. Okay, that was good. Yeah, and actually,
I'm not done yet.
Oh, sorry. Keep going.
And I think when you do this, it's not just about the moments that they are sharing, like especially like in a moment of dialogue. I'm seeing moment a lot now, especially in an exchange of dialogue. It's not even everything that they say, but sometimes what they're not saying, things that they're excluding from the the telling of the tale, so to speak, and also the story that they're choosing to tell themselves about themselves, and how they're kind of like locked into that. It kind of makes them who they are. And I think that's where this old man was. Like he just lost everything, and he was kind of closed off. And then this kid comes along, and it opens something up in him, and he realizes that he can be happy again. So that's it. Fuck you.
No, I thought that was beautiful, and I do. That is one of my favorite sequences of any film ever.
Moments.
And I do well, it's I think you know what this is. This is like when I'm supposed to make a goals list for the company, and instead of a list of 10 things, it's 30 things, but I have sub goals. You had sub moments. Just admit it. You picked 13 moments as your one moment.
The best thing is that there would have been no protest if David thought of that objection first and said, okay, I'm cheating a little bit. This is about moments, but.
Yeah, totally. But that was really good. And I mean, we reference Up a lot in our storytelling. So, I think that's a really good list. We do have, if you want to close out, Dave, do you want to close out with the old boy moment?
I do have one left.
Oh, you have a third. Sorry, Johnny.
So just so you know. All
you don't want to give yours to Dave? Because he's going to do old boy.
No. Mine is representative of a sort of a species of moments, or there's a certain type of moment that I find that I myself am particularly susceptible to. I really love moments where there's a heroic moment, or when the somebody comes to save the day or steps up. Like I really like that. I like nobility, and so mine is from A Knight's Tale. Have you guys seen that?
No. Oh yeah, with Heath Ledger.
With Heath Ledger. So this is again is a spoiler, but this is one of my. This moment always gets me. Like it's just one of those things. And so basically the setup is, just real briefly, if you haven't seen it, that Heath Ledger's character, William, is he's not nobility, and you need to be noble to joust, to be in any of the games, the competitions. And so they forge papers, and he goes through the whole story being pretending to be nobility. And the whole thing would come crashing down if he were if he were discovered. And of course, he has an asshole adversary who's played by Rufus Sewell, who just always seems to play an asshole really well.
Not in Dark City, he didn't.
That's true, and I really liked him in Dark City. But he's out to get him, right? So he's out to expose him. And at one point they do discover that he isn't noble, and they put him in the stocks. Now, a little bit of backstory on this is that earlier in the one of the earlier competitions, a prince, Prince Edward, I don't remember who he was in the joust. And so he's trying to hide too, because he wants to compete. And he knows that if people know who he is, they'll back down, because they don't want to joust against a noble and risk hurting him and stuff, or a king, I guess, royalty. And so Heath Ledger's character discovers it too, but he doesn't want to back down. And so he jousts against him. And this is a courteous act toward the guy who just wants to compete. And he's like, thank you for not backing down, basically. So in the climactic moment, the moment I'm building toward here, and this is something where the whole story is built up to this, is this whole thing of a man can't change his stars. You're born who you are, and you stay that person. You can't become something else. And so there's the scene where he's in the stocks, and the townspeople are just fuckers. They've all turned on him. They used to love him, and now they're just like, man, they're throwing like rotten lettuce and shit at him. And his crew gets up around him to defend him. Like they're going to try and keep the crowd from fucking with him while he's in the stocks in the pillory. And then this hooded figure comes up, and it's the prince. And he gets down on one knee and he talks to him, and he said, "Your men love you. This is a true measure of nobility." And he said, you blah, blah, blah. I don't remember the whole speech. He said, "But you also tilt when you should withdraw," which meant that he jousted, and that is noble too. And then he takes him out and he declares to the crowd, blah, 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 magic. You can't contest my word. He's actually a knight. Fuck all y'all. And then he knights him. And it's this amazing moment where he has changed his stars just by his own, like by acting knight-like, by acting noble and extolling, like becoming the virtues that are that person. He earns his knighting. And it's just this fantastic moment. And he changes his star. So I just love that one.
Yeah, I don't even remember that. That sounds awesome. But I saw Knight's Tale in the theater so many years ago.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. Remember, his father's this old blind guy, and when they announce him as Sir William, he says, "Your father heard that." And so
that's awesome.
Hear him call him Sir William. So yeah, so that's my last one.
Well, that was really good, and I guess we don't have time for Dave's old boy, so I guess everybody wins. Well, I like these movie shows. I don't want to ruin
old boy though.
Yeah, if you listening do like these movie shows, let us know, because I think they're really fun to do as long as they're valuable for you guys. But thank you so much for listening as always. And so Christine has completely really dug in and actually made a big giant queue, and we know what our shows are going to be like for
or the big queue.
No, like a queue with like shows. So we're going to be able to tease what our next show is going to be pretty soon, which is pretty exciting. So anyway,
you think that pretty soon we'll know what to tease?
I think so.
Well, we can tease next week's right now.
Do we know it?
Yeah, we do.
Well, yeah.
Well, then here we go. Tease it, my good man.
We're going to do another brainstorming episode.
Oh, I did know that. I'm excited about that.
I'm looking forward to getting my ass handed.
Okay, Dave, you have something else to tease then.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Okay. But the brainstorming episode is, if you remember last time we did it, we came up with, we took some of your guys' input and came up with a couple of stories on the air live, and we're going to do that again because it was fun to do. So we're asking in the Facebook group for any suggestions, whether it be characters or settings or anything else. Just we want as many things to choose from as possible, and I would prefer to wait until, like, I'm not going to go there and look right now. So if you're waiting for me to respond, I'm not going to. I want to do it live on the air so I can see like these things. And I don't know the best way to do it. Like if we should just have like this giant Google Doc like we had before.
Heather will set it up. Don't even worry about it.
Okay, well, she has it on Facebook right now in the, but it's not on self-publishing. I think it's in the Smarter Artist group. So we might want to put it on the SPP page.
Most of the activity seems to happen in Smarter Artist. I think you guys should migrate over there if you're not in it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So yeah, that's what we're doing. So.
All right. Well, then I'm really excited about that episode because the last one was awesome, and this will be awesome. And I like those are the best silences because we're thinking. Anyway, thanks
for
an
hour of us just being quiet.
Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.